So we are here with Real Boys Talk, and as everybody knows, this is Women's History Month. So Real Boys Talk decided last year to do a We Are History, because a lot of times, because we are masculine identified or have a masculine tone of us, or we are part of the LGBT community, we are left out of the Black girl magic or out of being recognized for the accomplishments that we do. So Real Boys Talk has decided we're going to start profiling, showing you who we are, and let you see the amazing studs or masculine identified females that are out there. So tonight I have with me, and I know she's taken out of her busy schedule to talk to us, is Imani Barnes. Thank you very much for giving me this hour of your time. And we want to know everything about you. So please introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Imani Barnes. I am a scientist. I am a mother. I am a part of the LGBTQ plus community. I am a politician. I am all of the above. I represent many demographics, and I'm here to exemplify the excellence that we can um, exude. We can be great. We can be politicians. I'm a scientist. We can be scientists. And I feel I'm successful at everything that I do. I try to put in 110%, 200% sometimes. And it's not because I am a lesbian, it's not because I am a female, it's just because that's my personality. And so and it's not because I'm black, it's because it's my personality. I go hard at everything I do, and I don't see labels. And so it's time to you can't make everybody think how we think, but I wish everybody else did not see labels and saw us as equal. And so that's my fight in politics, is for equality, equity in education, in laws, against our community, in funding for our community. Um, so that's part of my fight into getting involved into politics, but we'll get into that. So that was my long intro.
It was great. It's great. So I'm gonna start off with asking you, why science? What about what? First of all, what division of science? Because that's a very broad statement of I'm a scientist.
I'm a
What kind of
scientist.
scientist are you?
So I work in biomedical research. So I've been doing this since I graduated from college. So I went to a HBCU. I got my bachelor's of science in biology at South Carolina State University in Orangeburg, South Carolina. So I've always been interested in science. I've always wanted to be a doctor, but I never was interested in biomedical science. So I'll explain that. So I work in research.
Okay.
So biomedical research, like animal research, like and I got into that in college. Somebody offered me a job in the animal research laboratory, and I fell in love with it. So I've been doing that over 20 years, and I've been at Emory University for 14 years working with animal studies. And so that's what I do now. It leads to groundbreaking disease studies. We have, how we come up with the COVID vaccine.
Mhm.
You do animal studies as well in vaccine research and medical research. So that's what I do. I've been doing that pretty much all my life. And I love teaching our youth about science because it's important. And I ended up going to get my master's in public health. So I'm leaning away from science and working more with humans and
Okay.
community. How we make community change. And so after getting my master's in public health, I went and knocked out my PhD. And so that's where I'm at now. I'm writing my dissertation for public health, my PhD in public health.
So you're Dr. Barnes now, or we almost Dr. Barnes?
Doctoral candidate Barnes.
Okay, so we're doctoral candidate Barnes. I love it. I love it. I
Right.
wasn't sure. I wasn't sure. I know she was, guys, I knew she was going for it, but I wasn't sure. I was hoping she's already got it. You know, we call it Dr.
It's a
Barnes.
long process, but I'm at the end of the road. I finished all my classes, and so right now I'm just writing. So you're pretty much writing a long research paper.
So as your scientist, because I want everybody to understand that people thought I wear a lot of hats. No, she wears a lot. She wears a lot of hats.
Mhm.
So with this scientist hat, once you get this doctoral degree, what are your plans to do with it?
So I'm getting my public health, my doctorate, my doctorate in public health.
Okay.
So in public health is mass change. So how I work in the community, how do I evaluate the community and change and mitigate or change or lessen or reduce community issues if I want to work within the community. Or you have like epidemiology and how fast a disease spreads and things like that. COVID was public health. Like, how do we stop the
Good.
spread of this disease, right? And so you had a lot of public health workers and officials on the front lines of that because they understand how diseases spread. You have to understand the community. Diseases spread differently in communities. You know what I'm saying? Like one community might not adhere to mass mandates as well as another community. So you don't address that one that doesn't address mass mandates the same as you would one community that's, oh, we're all in, everybody wears masks, so you probably have less transmission of the disease. So understanding that that's public health. So me understanding that two separate communities, you might have a Spanish speaking community and an English speaking community. You can't go to the Spanish speaking community and try to deliver public health messages in English. I mean, you can, but how
But
well are they going to take it?
yeah,
You
okay.
can't go to the Ethiopian community with all English literature and expect for them to take on the same message as us. And so that's public health, is understanding how you reach these different communities and you use evidence-based science. So what worked in that community, let's take that and apply it to this community, but let's tweak it to their culture, to their race, and how they do things. And so that's public health. And so
Okay. I like,
that's
I mean, so now guys, I want everybody to understand that I've known you for pretty much like a year and a half because
right.
she was in politics running in Tucker,
Right.
and did not understand, why would you be, you're a scientist. And now I see, because my version of a scientist is you're wearing a white coat, mixing up stuff, you brewing it, poof, things are happening.
Right.
And now I see. So I'm going to say that this hat of the scientist is why you are now so concerned and very on top of the fact that you are a mommy. There
Right.
is that fact of what does our world look like tomorrow, and
Right.
that's where that scientist piece of you is coming in. So let's go make that little dip over to that side and talk about that. How was your, and I'm pretty sure it's not your only time running in politics, but how was it running in Tucker? What did you get from it, and what did you learn? What do you feel about it?
I
I mean,
feel
you can be, and let me say this, you can be as raw as you want to. I understand that, you are doing some future things, which we're going to talk about as well, but I really want you to be,
I'm
let
gonna
us
be
know.
open with you.
Yeah, let us
Right.
know exactly what was going on, and what you learned from this experience.
I'll say this. So that was my first step into politics, running for Tucker City Council. So everyone, I ran for Tucker City Council. I ran as to be the first LGBTQ plus. I ran to be the first African American, the first single parent, the first a lot of things. And so, but literally those I ran to be the first, those three things. And I end up losing in the runoffs. So I made it to the second round and I lost by 62 votes. And that's huge for someone who's just stepping into politics. And
Definitely.
and also wearing all of those hats, like you said, because that puts a lot of pressure on you. Because everybody doesn't agree with my lifestyle. Everybody doesn't agree with having the African American sitting on the on the seat. Everybody doesn't agree with me being a single parent and thinking I'd have time to deal with politics. So you had to fight all that, but I was always myself. I never changed myself. I have a labrae piercing. I won't take that out if you make me. I've never taken it out. It's on my headshots. I'm proud to be who I am. And people have opinions, and you have to learn that that's what they are, and that they don't make or break you. You know what I'm saying? You're there to um be a public servant to the people, the citizens of the city. And so it doesn't matter to me. I can't be biased about who I'm serving.
Correct.
So I can't let the bias affect me. I can't let the discrimination affect me. I can't let the racism, or the racism to my lifestyle, the racism to my culture affect me. I got to keep going. And I still got to fight for that person. And so that was my thing. I sold that because that's how I am. I'm fighting for everybody, even the person that doesn't vote for me. You know what I'm
And you
saying?
did say that. You were saying that. I distinctly remember you in publicly saying it is not that I mean, whether you agree with me or not, or you're going to, I'm going to support what you want to do. I'm going to support who you
Right.
are. I'm going to support what you need, so you did, you very much put that out there.
I stand on that. And so what got me into politics literally is watching George Floyd be murdered on that ground and screaming for his mom. And I have a son,
Mm,
and my son he's younger. Well, he's 11 years old. And I said, before he gets out here as at 11, he's already tall, and he looks older than
11.
what he is. And so at 15 or 16, I can only imagine how tall he'll be. And I just can't imagine how someone else sees him. And so I said, I'm going to go out here and see what my city is doing for these current events that we're dealing with. At the time, we were dealing with police brutality. We were dealing with LGBTQ problems,
Mhm.
the abortion laws. We were dealing with it was so much going on at one time. And then the pandemic, it was just so much going on at one time that I found myself protesting in the streets of Atlanta.
Okay.
And a few of the protests, they were calm and peaceful. But then I hit one that was just the one that was on TV where the cars were on fire and everything. And I was like, yo, I had to run. And I'm like, I can't be out here doing this. And so, but I have to have a voice. So how do I have a voice? So I said, let me go research what my city is doing for these current events. And when I went and looked, every single person on the city council was white, like every single one. And then I looked, and it was like all the officials were white. And then I was like, this is who's running my city. So it's probably nothing going on for the current events. And it wasn't. It was nothing going on at all. They weren't even acknowledging that any of that was happening in our world. And it was just so
Wow.
detrimental to us. And so from then on, I've put myself into politics because I start going to all the city council meetings. I start speaking up. Um, Tucker does not have a non-discrimination ordinance here, and that's one of the main issues that I was fighting for here in Tucker. You can discriminate against sexuality. You can discriminate against you can discriminate here in Tucker and not be held accountable or liable by the law. And
Did not know
so the non-discrimination ordinance will have put pretty much law in place that will penalize you if you're discriminating. There was a business here in Tucker that was trying to make a girl wear a skirt. She didn't want to wear the skirt as the uniform, so they fired her. That's
that. Wow.
discrimination. She doesn't want to wear a skirt. You can't make her wear a skirt. And so, it was against what she wanted to do, and she got fired. And so if there was a law put in place, she would have been able to fight for her justice or fight for equality, and she couldn't. And so Dorville adopted this law. All the surrounding cities, Brookhaven, all the Avondale estates, all have adopted this ordinance, and there has been no negativity coming from this. And so that was one of my issues. And I stood on that because I am a part of the LGBTQ plus community, and I don't want to be discriminated against when I walk down the streets of Tucker. And I want justice to be served if I am discriminated against. And
Okay.
so they did not adopt it. I did not get elected, and it's not been brought up. They're not bringing that up right now. And so
Wow.
that was one of my issues, and one of the reasons why we have to show that we care about our issues, because we can't let other people speak for how we feel, you
Mhm.
know, or what's facts for us. We can't allow other people that aren't in our community to speak for us.
Correct.
And so that's why we have to get into politics. We have to speak our mind. And even if you're not into politics, it's important for us to reach out to our politicians.
Oh yes, I
We
do
have
agree.
to email, call. They serve us. We don't
Exactly.
serve them.
And I do think that is a major
We don't do that.
misconception, is that people are so excited or so crunk on the national, on the federal, what we're doing with president,
Right,
that we
right,
don't
right.
look at what's happening on, when I walk out the door, what's happening in this little city of Decatur, what's happening in this little city of, we say Atlanta's big, but let's be real. What are we doing in each one of these, Decatur and Brookhaven, as you've mentioned? We don't ever look at that, or we'll just go down the line and go, okay, yes, 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 yes. At least take down their name, find
Right,
out even though they might be in the party that you agree with, learn who they are, get their email, send them an email, ask them, you said to get my vote, you gonna do this, this, and this,
right. Hold them
and I don't see
accountable.
you doing it. And and we're finding out that there's a lot of people that are, that played us.
Right,
They said, I'm a Democrat, I'm with the Democratic Party, and now we look around going, well, what is you doing?
right,
So there is that. So I do agree with you, and I think that possibly now more people are more alert and more awake to see that I do need to pay attention to what's happening
that's
locally.
right.
So with that experience, okay, because we know what you're doing as, when you're scientist, but as this new experience of being a politician, what steps, what are you doing now? What are we running? What are we
Oh
running?
yeah. So after my loss, that was in November. I was kind of like, okay, what am I gonna do? Because like I had so much support from this city, but I had support, like people were donating money from outside of the city. Like I had, oh, sorry about that. I had a lot of support. And so I just was like, I have, it has to be a bigger purpose for me. And so whatever my purpose is, it will show or it will come to light. And so that was in November. So what is this? This is March.
Mhm.
I say last month I was offered, well, last month the house rep for the district that I live in announced that she was not running again. So there's to be an open seat. So
Oh,
I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a whole nother level. This is not city. This is not a city race. This is a state
oh,
race. And
oh,
so I had to really pray about that. And I had to, ponder over that because literally just got into politics. And that was my first run, but I made it pretty far. So
yes.
I knew inside that I couldn't quit, but now I have to step up my game because this is a state race, right?
Oh yeah.
Whatever. I prayed about it, and I'm running for state house district 86.
Okay.
So, yep, my answer was yes. I am in on the ballot. I have qualified for the ballot, so I'm on the Georgia state ballot to be a state representative for District 86, which includes Tucker, Stone Mountain, Clarkston, a little of Stonecrest area,
Okay.
and yeah, yeah, yeah. I got the
So
map.
what will what will you being in that position mean to those areas?
I'm a voice for, so if you think about those cities, it goes from one end to the other. So you got Tucker, you got
Hmm.
Clarkston, you got Stone Mountain, and then you got South DeKalb area, which is in was in Stonecrest area. All of those are different demographics of people, right?
Exactly. Yeah,
But
very
guess what?
international. Very
I grew
international.
up in all of that. I
Yes.
grew up in all of that. I'm literally went to I was raised in Avondale Estates. I went to Druid Hills High School. I work at Emory, but I hung out in South DeKalb area growing up. And so
Mhm.
I am very experienced with all those demographics. I hung around Clarkston area because I went to Druid Hills. And so I feel like I'm able to reach all of those demographics. I'm able to understand all of the issues in each of those different cities. I'm
Oh, I'm
able to
excited.
understand and empathize with those issues. And so I feel like I'll be beneficial to this district because I'm able to reach all these demographics. So, and I grew up here.
So I'm gonna say this because I want you to tell, like, we're not finished, of course, because you got we're gonna get a little deeper because you've made a lot of personal steps as well. The fact that
Right.
you're a mom, and now you know your family's growing, if I'm understanding this correctly.
Right, right, right.
Like, I got this on my finger. This is a fun ring. You got
Right.
double. You know, you are engaged.
Yes.
So how, I mean, that, first of all, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank
Second of
you.
all, how is this, with all the stuff that you're doing, how is this also, I mean, is this the icing on the top, or is this a whole new cake that we're baking kind of concept?
Look, we can call it both. We can call it a whole new cake with some extra icing. It feels good. It feels good. I can honestly say having a soulmate. I have a soulmate. I found my person, and I say that because um, she has her own thing going on. She has her own dreams, her own goals, and then I have my journey. And my journey is a whole lot, and her dreams and her goals and her journey is a whole lot. And so it takes communication is the top thing because we're always busy. We're always busy. Our brains are always going, and we have to make it a point to communicate with each other. We have to make it a point to stop our brains and relax. You know what I'm saying? But it is the icing on the cake because it's easier to ride this journey with your soulmate. You know
Okay.
what I'm saying? Like somebody that you can literally trust with the depths of it, like somebody you can trust with the secrets or the behind the scenes of this, because it's not all pretty in headshots. Because
Oh,
everybody sees my flyers, everybody sees my headshots, but you don't see the days when I'm here crying because I'm frustrated or that we just so tired. And to have somebody that's here to help you, even if I haven't eaten, and she's tired, she still makes something to eat. And so even those little, that's not little, but the little things about having somebody that you call your soulmate is huge. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I did my Tucker race, and we weren't at this point. And so I can't depend on her at as much. But when you find your life partner, it makes everything easier. So you know what I'm saying? It is the icing on the cake.
so let's step into some things, um, because you're in a healthy relationship, okay? And I know we all have gone through other types of relationships to get to our healthy relationships. So, as a, not labeling, but to say more of a masculine, probably presenting person in
Right.
to with us, what do you say? What can you say to us? What advice do you have to give to us that we need? Is it something we need to work on? What are you seeing when it comes to your African American masculines that are out here on all the different levels?
We have to be patient. Patience is a virtue. I swear, a lot of us want to be so in love and we want to make something that it might not be. So pay attention to those red flags because they do present themselves. And you know what we do? We'll cover it up and we'll try to turn them green, but clearly they're red. And then you end up pushing them to the back, and then when things get rough, they come right back out, and then it's huge, it's massive. And so pay attention to that. Take lessons from everything that didn't work, because sometimes it's you. You know what I'm saying? We're
That is
quick
very
to
true.
blame our partner for a problem, but let's say I've been in several relationships, right? And some at one point I was noticing that out of all those relationships, it was one common denominator. It was something similar they were all complaining about. And so you got to listen to that, because at that point is not at that point is somebody else. I mean, it's at that point is you.
Right.
And then you gotta take some time and self-reflect. You know what I'm saying? Don't let anybody judge how many relationships you've been in, because if it's not right, it's not right. And if you yearn to find your life partner, you're gonna keep going. And
Correct.
so that's my story. I've been in relationships, and I've been in relationships, and I've been in relationships, and there's always been something that I haven't paid attention to until it was too late. You know what I'm saying? And then it made for a horrible breakup, or it made for a sad breakup. And I'm 40 now. And so it's like, okay, it's time. I'm ready to settle down. I'm ready to find somebody. We're going to go through it, but we're going to work it out. You know, I think that's a problem as well. We go through stuff and we like, oh, it's over and I'm
Mhm.
done.
That's true. And you also you kind of did the family thing a little backwards, right? So
Right.
you got the wife coming now, but you already have the child. So talk to me about being a single mother, not just with a child, but you're raising a young man. And I want y'all
Right.
to know I've met this young man. This is a beautiful young man. I mean, his whole persona about him, he's a great kid. You know
Well,
what I'm
I
saying?
appreciate that. I appreciate that. Um, I just have you just do what I feel like my mom raised me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't, if I had a girl, I would have raised her in the same manner, but catering towards a girl, you know what I'm saying? But my mom kept me involved. So I keep him involved. My mom, you know what I'm saying, had education was, you need to do well in school, focus in school, and then I'll take care of everything else. And so I try to allow my child to focus on school. And I promote school. Like, you do good in school, you get this game. You do go in school, then you can play the game. You know what I'm saying? Like, other
Mhm.
than that, it's cut. You don't get privileges, because I know education is important for a black male. You know what
Yes.
I'm saying? As a lesbian parent, um, I haven't had any roadblocks. You know what I'm saying? I see myself as a person, and so I don't preach to my son my sexuality. I don't preach to him about, he just knows mommy likes girls.
It doesn't change anything else of how he views his mom in no form of fashion.
No, but it's the outside world that does get to him.
Uh,
And I ask, and so most of the time it's like, sticks and stones may break your bones, but words will never hurt you. And that's a elementary saying, but it's true to the fact. And I have to tell
yes.
myself that sometimes, like, yo, they said this about me, but it didn't break my bones, so I'm good. And
Yep.
so I try to preach that to him, and then I try to preach equality to him, because I am me and he is him, and whatever he chooses, that's what he chooses. I'm gonna accept him. And so that's another issue, because my mom wasn't so accepting of my sexuality.
Okay.
And it was rough for me growing up. And I'm an only child. And so
Oh,
I had to deal with that. And I had to deal with it by myself.
I know
And
how that is. I'm an only child, and my mom, she's an only child, and she's girly girl.
right,
So I was not that girly girl. I never was that girly girl, and so it was. We are good. We've always been tight because we've had each other.
right,
Because there was a time period my mother was single parent, and so we had each other. So I totally understand that there's that rough patch with your mom, but once she's, you know what I think it is, once they realize that we're okay with who we are, like really truly we good with who we are, they go, okay, they're all right, you know.
I mean, that might be for some situations, you know what I'm saying? It still is not at 40, it's still not an easy path for me and my mom, you know what I'm
I
saying? But
understand.
that brings you to relationships. So
Hmm.
I could hold on to that, and it highly affected my relationships. That my mom didn't accept me. It made me clingy to these women, right?
Oh, okay, okay.
And so at some point I had to face that. And so that's advice, because a lot of us deal with rejection from the parental units when you come out and growing up being a black in this lifestyle, right?
Hmm.
And so it's important to recognize that, face it, deal with it, or it could affect your love life. And I'm at a point where I have dealt with it so it doesn't affect my love life, but it has. You know, a learned behavior for me was communicating. My mom didn't agree with it, so I didn't talk about my lifestyle, right? And
Okay.
I learned to not talk about it. And so when I got in relationships, I learned to not communicate. It was a learned behavior. I
Interesting.
just I'll shut down because that's what I did growing. That's what I did. That was my protection. That's how I protected myself. And so when it got to where I needed to communicate in relationships, I shut down, and it affected them because they never knew how I really felt, or they didn't know what I wanted to say. You can't nobody tell you what you want to say. And so in being engaged now, we make it a point to communicate even when it's hard.
Okay.
Right.
All right. So I know we still going a lot of this is really going to help. I'm sure is going to help a lot of masculine out there because they need to hear all of us saying it. And I feel like right now I spend a lot of time, looking at the crazy TikToks, and I see that hatred that we as masculine, especially African Americans, are now having, the old and the young.
Right.
You have these older studs that are saying you can't do this, you can't do that. If you're doing that, you're not this. What is what's your take on
Opinion.
all of that? Yeah, what is the opinion of that you have on this, and advice, to what younger studs, when this happens to them, what is your advice to them?
Look, I say, okay, this can be public health, right? Because times change. So generations change. Look, we weren't all into TikTok, and we didn't have phones and stuff like that. We didn't do all that. But guess what? They do now. And so things that may have been happening are just visible. You feel what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
that may have been happening, but even if it wasn't happening, times are changing. So we have to evolve with the times. We have to look at things differently. If you haven't noticed, our young are expressing themselves more. Hair, uh their attire, um they don't care what their sexuality is, or who knows. When it used to
Mm-hmm.
be, we like telling a small circle, and other than that, we're acting differently outside. And so that's evolution. Things have evolved. You know why? Because we became comfortable to a certain extent, and then the next generation, we taught them like, yo, be comfortable within yourself, right?
Yep.
And so they were comfortable to this extent, and then they were telling the next generation, man, wear your natural hair, do this, be yourself. If you want to wear that shirt, wear that shirt. And that's where they're at now. So they're free. They're
Mhm.
free. So
Okay.
if they want to date another stud, do what you want. You feel what
Exactly.
I'm saying? Because who are we to judge? I don't know who you love, or I don't know who makes you feel good, and we're not allowed to judge. Period. There should be no judgment zone.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
so
kept I tell people all the time, there's no rules to this. It's just my biggest rule to being a stud
just be
is
yourself.
respecting each other,
Right, right, right.
right?
You have to
You know?
respect.
And that's the thing, but it's gotten a little
Out of hand.
Yeah, it really has kind of gotten out of hand. But then we're inside the circle fighting. But let's talk about the outside fighting. Because now Florida, you can't there's no don't say gay.
Right. That okay, so that's one bill that I definitely don't support. It makes no sense because that's where there's a high population of gays. And what like I would have to look more into that bill. But I went in some things that are on the floor here in our state are
Hmm.
interesting, right? So like Senate Bill 435 discriminates against like trans uh playing sports with their peers.
Okay.
And so I want to hear people's input on that because who am I to judge? Because I'm not trans. I don't know what happens to your body. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you lose strength or you gain strength depending on which way you go. And
Hmm.
so, but I do know that there's evidence of programs that have been for decades that have involved everybody, and there's been nothing negative that has come out of it. You
Okay.
understand that? And so that's public health looking at evidence based data. Let's look at this data of these places that have done this for over 10 years and have nothing negative, nothing. There were no intensified injuries or other peers didn't feel this. And so that's how we should look at things instead of you who's not even in the lifestyle, has never dealt with the transition, telling us how we should and should not do things. And
True.
so that's something that's actively on the floor in the Senate.
In
And
our
so
state, here in our state,
in
in the state
Georgia,
of Georgia.
in the
Okay.
state of Georgia, Senate SB 435. And so go look that up.
Okay.
And so that's why we have to be in tune with politics, right? Because
Mhm.
you can go to your school and you might not agree with this, and they allow a trend or they allow somebody to play sports with your child, and you don't agree with it, and you just go mouthing off. That's not helping it. So you go and you tell how you feel to your senator or your state representative, and that's how you get things changed, or you get things, you get to voice yourself. So that's why we have to be involved with politics,
Okay.
because if we do agree with this bill and we do agree that everybody should be able to be play on whatever team,
Mhm.
um then let them know so they can vote on it. Have your senator say, look, I live in this district, my son plays for this school, um and I agree with this bill. I feel like he should be able to play on any team. And so if you agree with that, then you speak up for it. What else do we have on the floor right now? The critical race theory.
Okay.
I mean, what can and not teach in our schools? How we teach it in our schools? I mean,
But in this just okay, so let me ask this. Critical race theory, isn't that just history when you and I were in school?
pretty much
I'm just a little confused that we put a fancy
history.
name on it to make people think it was something new when it's the same thing that we've been teaching in school, but now the truth of so many things that African Americans have done in this country are
Right.
at the forefront because now people are realizing that every single day there's something that you touch or that you use that a black person made, created, invented, and now you want to put a name on it and call it critical race theory. No, it's history.
It's history, right? So that's why we have to have a voice on these, because they vote on this stuff, right? So we have to have a voice. Like, we don't want to learn about how y'all enslaved us. Let's teach them how we came up with the hot iron, or how we came up with what all the things that black people invented that you use every day. We need to be teaching our kids about that and let them know that you guys did not develop this, you guys did not invent this, we did during this horrible time. But let's stop
Mhm.
focusing on the horrible time. Let's focus on the good things that came out of history. And so that's part of the fight. But we have to have us to say, we don't want y'all to show no more of my great 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 grandfather getting whipped. I don't want you to show that no more.
Mm-mm.
Let's show how while he was whipped and he had to go here that he developed this or he
Right.
developed
Or
this.
the cream that actually healed him
Right.
from the real crazy that you did.
Let's
It
show
wasn't that you gave because you didn't care if he got when you beat him, you was like, okay, whatever. There was
right.
somebody who took him, laid him down, cleaned his wounds, and whatever they used,
It healed him.
it healed him. We need, yes, I totally agree with that. Is take that and show something a little bit different. We got the fact that it was a bad situation.
Right.
We understand that. We understand that people don't want us to, other people don't want to admit that it was bad, but it was bad.
Right.
But yeah, and I agree with you. Let's we can't forget it, but we don't need to just be showing that. I do agree
Right.
with you on that.
Or if you want to show it, show how your people did that, and then we came up with this. And
Mm-hmm.
then show how much we use this, and now everybody uses this product. Not
Exactly. I
just
agree with you.
not just us. So we have to fight for that. So yeah, that's my fight. I can't sit back and be silent because I do have a voice on the platform now.
Okay.
And um one of my main issues is like funding for education, educational programs. Um our children are dealing with a lot of mental health issues. So teachers are dealing with having to teach them school, they're dealing with behavioral problems,
Mhm.
and it's because we're not like children are stressed right now. Like
Is it
children,
because of COVID? Is it because of COVID, or is it because of how we are acting in front of our children?
I mean, we're stressed, so we stress the kids, and then the world is stressful in itself. TV is stressful. Um, they have access to everything, and
Mm-hmm.
so we didn't have as much access to the whole world and how and people's opinions of the world. And so that's what
Sure.
TikTok is, that's what all this stuff is. And stuff goes viral, so viral means millions of people done seen it, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so how if millions of people are watching this same thing, I mean, it's just feeding so many different emotions into these children. You know, I if I yell at my son now, I be having to go make sure he's okay because he'd be back there depressed, and you'd be like, bruh,
Mm.
like, come on, man. So it's just like these kids aren't wired the same, and we have to make sure that they're supplemented with mental health counselors in schools, somebody they can talk to. These kids, they'll go out by themselves, isolate. They have different emotions now, and we have to make sure that they're okay. So I want to fight for funding for educational programs in the school that include mental health, more counselors, social workers in the school. Let's hire private companies that specifically address that, so we don't have to put we can't put no more on these teachers. Like
That's
2020 was a evidence that teachers are the frontline workers. We cannot sustain without teachers, and they're overworked now because they're catching up. They're
mm-hmm.
dealing with kids with COVID and keep your mask up, and all this stuff takes away from the actual education. So if we supply, let's say, District 86 with more funding for educational programs, or more funding for us to go hire outside contractors to take care of the mental health so we don't strain our school staff or our
Mm-hmm.
teachers, then that's what I want to fight for. So educational funding is huge. On my issues, affordable housing is huge. The cost of living is out of pocket. The average citizen is now a low income citizen. I mean, because it's
It's
expensive
high.
to live. Food is high. um so if food's high, healthy food, regular food, people are gonna go to the cheapest option, and that's not healthy. And
Nope.
so therefore we're feeding disease, we're feeding diabetes, we're feeding hypertension, and for already affected communities,
Yep.
I mean, it's detrimental.
So what do you need because it's our last part of it. What do you need from us? We want you to be in that position. We want you to be our representative in House 86.
Right.
So what do you need from your community? I'm not, I'm sort of in your community because I'm in Decatur, but
Right.
I'm down the street from South DeKalb. So I'm gonna say I'm in your community.
Definitely know a lot of people in my community. And I wish I had this map digitally, but I had to get it printed. But it shows like exactly which neighborhoods are in my district. And this is a small one. Like I have one, my whole wall is this map. But what do I need? I
What do
need
you need?
this. I need money. I need money because in Tucker, I had to reach about 2,500 citizens. House District 86, I have to reach over 56,000 citizens.
Oh,
And
okay.
so I need donations because I need flyers, I need mailers, I have to buy stamps and yard signs, and I have to pay people to help me. I can't reach 56,000 people by myself. And so everything costs, so donations from $25 to $10 to $50 to $100. Every dollar counts, every dollar is used directly to the campaign. But when I do get those resources, then I'm going to need people to help me pass them out. People to canvas. And so for people who can't afford to give, volunteering. I need
Okay.
volunteers. I need people to share stuff on social media like flooding, because I do have two other competitors in the race.
Okay.
Right. So I'm not running by myself and I
Right.
have to beat out two other people thus far. Tomorrow's the last day to qualify. So we'll see if there are more people, but right now it's three of us in the race, so I have to beat two other people, and it's gonna take my name. I'm pretty well known in Tucker, but I have to hit these other cities.
Okay.
And so if anybody lives in Stone Mountain, Clarkston, Tucker, or Stonecrest area, and I can come in your community and have a meet and greet, that'll be great. If I can come, I do community cleanups on Saturday. I started at the bottom of my district and I've been working up the map. So last Saturday I had about 10 people come out and we cleaned around the Panola Road area and the Quick Trip. We had over 7 bags of trash. We didn't even leave that Quick Trip area. We literally just cleaned up around the Quick Trip that had trash cans everywhere.
Wow.
And so we as a community have to do better. But if I can get community cleanup started and become a routine activity, then that's one way to lessen the footprint in our communities. And
Okay.
so I'm not doing it this Saturday because the weather's supposed to be bad. But I post these community cleanups and I share these videos because I need people to come out into their own community and help get it, clean it up. Let's improve these communities.
Okay.
Right.
Well, I'm gonna make sure that I get all this out because I've been, as if you didn't notice, I was taking
I can
notes.
know it.
But I also want you to send me any of your literature that you have so I can make sure that I am making sure that I put it out there. Tell the people how to get in touch with you.
Again, I'm Imani Barnes. Imani Barnes. And so it's Imani Barnes for House District 86. You can go to Imani, the number 4, the letters GA.com, Imani4GA.com. And my Facebook is at Imani Barnes. My IG is Imani for Georgia, at Imani for Georgia. So follow me on all socials. And when I share something, y'all share something. That's what I need.
Well, we got you. I'm gonna make sure as much as I can do, I will do. You know, you have my support at all times, and all those that follow me and that are part of what I do, I try to make sure they come on board. And anybody else I can introduce you to, I'm going to.
I
Okay,
appreciate
that's
that. We
my
got to
place
get
to
our
do.
community on board more into politics.
Yes. And so I've got a couple of outside of this, I've got a couple of podcasts that I'm gonna try to, introduce you to as well. But what I am gonna do is I'm going to let Armani Barnes get back to work so
Right.
she can make sure, because
Coffee.
I know she's gonna be burning the light a little bit longer tonight. Hopefully not
Right.
too long. Please get some rest. Take care of yourself as much as you want to take care of us. So we can do, so we, it is our obligation and our responsibility to help take care of you as well. So I want to tell you that it is a pleasure for you to take the time out to talk to me and to talk to us, the community. And again, we are history, and Imani Barnes is our history, guys. She's doing it, and we got to support her. All
Thank
right.
you.
I
All
appreciate
right.
you so much. Thank you.
Appreciate you, y'all. Appreciate everybody.